making the move to Charlotte, North Carolina, and have pinpointed it as one of your top ideal locations. Well, before you get going, let's talk about the things that locals wish they knew before making the move. From surprises about traffic and policing, to why people love the culture and the family-friendly vibe. This is going to be the real, unfiltered truth about living in Charlotte, North Carolina. And stick around to the very end because the locals have revealed something that may help you make your decision to come or make your decision to keep looking. Let's go ahead and dive in. I'm Kayla Lindsay, your local Charlotte expert and the upstate of South Carolina. If you've been looking for everything Charlotte, North Carolina, you've come to the right channel. Whether you're returning or coming here for the first time, I cover everything Charlotte, the ins, the outs, and everything you need to know. So hit that subscribe button and be the first to know about all changes coming to Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, we have helped hundreds of families relocating to Charlotte, and if you are looking to make the move, we can help you too. I get calls, texts, emails, Zoom invitations to meet with people moving across the country or across the world. So if that's you, all my contact information is in the description below. Whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days from now, we're here to make your move everything you want it to be. Charlotte, North Carolina is one of the fastest growing cities in the United States, and for good reason. But just like any place, it's got its perks and its problems. So I did some investigative work and asked locals their honest opinion on all the things that they love about Charlotte and the things that they wish they knew before calling Charlotte home. So let's break it all down. Now, the number one thing that I heard from pretty much everybody that I asked was Southern hospitality. So what in the world does that mean? Southern hospitality doesn't necessarily mean people are inviting you over every night for dinner and cobbler, right? It's just the kind demeanor of people around you. So often, I know I grew up in New York, those that come from New York or up north or out from the west on California and on the west coast, all of them are stunned that people will actually talk to you at random on the street or say hello to you in the grocery store. No, not people who know you, just random individuals who they bump into. It's actually super refreshing, especially being we are in one of the fastest growing cities. You would expect people to have a different mindset. Now, while some of the locals who have been here much longer say that things have started to change because the Yankees and those on the West Coast are moving here, I personally still see and feel the Southern hospitality no matter where I go in the Charlotte region. Bless your heart. Those of you who speak Southern know exactly what that means, and for those that don't, it pretty much is a term that says, oh, you poor thing, or okay, yeah, well, that's dumb, right? That's basically what someone is saying. If you were living in the north or living on the west coast, they might have some four-letter words that they would use instead of, or just brush you off and ignore you. Here, it is more polite and more appropriate to say bless your heart than it would be to be combative. So there is sometimes an underlying, or what people take it as being a little passive-aggressive. Really, it's just that it's not polite to argue or debate. And that's what you're gonna get sometimes is bless your heart. By the way, I have never had an argument with anyone in the Carolinas. Everyone is really kind and really open to conversation, which I love. So if you experience bless your heart, you've been blessed by a Southerner. Now, another thing that came up most often, which some people take quite negatively, is the lack of policing on our roadways. Now, for those of us speed demons, we do not mind this at all. For those of you who do like the speed limit and you want to make sure all of the road rules are completely enforced, you probably don't like this aspect. So I wasn't quite sure whether to put this as a positive or a negative. What do I mean by all this? Well, it's very rare for you to get pulled over because your license plate is expired. It's very rare for you to get pulled over for speeding. It's very rare for you to take a U-turn in a wrong spot and be pulled over. In essence, the rules of the road are semi-suggestions in Charlotte. Now, you're definitely going to notice this when you're on the interstates. Although the speed limit might be 60, if you're going 75, you should probably be in the middle lane because there will be people going faster than you. So if you have somewhere where you need to go, you're going to get there quick. I-485, which is the circle that goes around Charlotte, that has a 70-mile-an-hour speed limit all the way around. But the most average speed limit you're going to see is probably 80, which means some are definitely going over that. So if you need to get somewhere quick, you could definitely do it because you're probably not going to get pulled over. Not that often. Now, another thing with that is, yes, texting while driving. Because we don't have very serious implications for that, you are going to see people doing it. And don't lie, I know all of you have done it. So don't look at me, don't look at anybody else. I know we've all done it. But I do know also up in the Northeast and also out west and some other states, these actions are being cracked down on and with massive penalties. The next biggest thing that came up was the beautiful scenery and nature. Now, Charlotte is absolutely shrouded in the gorgeous canopies of old oak trees and more. And this is honestly, one of my favorite things about Charlotte. Even myself, I live on the outskirts, but I'm still in the city of Charlotte, and we live on a half acre. We've got a greenway behind us. Charlotte has made it a priority to ensure that there are plenty of trees, plenty of greenways, and in fact, they are working to expand and connect most of the greenways in the region, so there's even more opportunity to get out, get on a bike, go for a run, whatever you choose to do. Now, if you fly into Charlotte, especially in summer, you're not even going to see any of the homes that lie beneath this vast city. Why? Well, because it's covered in trees. You'll see uptown Charlotte, you're going to see South Park, and you'll see Valentine. And as you get outside of 45, you'll see some more developments where there were once farmland. But it is absolutely shrouded in tree cover, and it is so gorgeous. In addition to that, you've got such close proximity to multiple lakes. You've got plenty of opportunities to also get out on the water. So if you love nature, you're gonna love it here. So another one that came up pretty often was the government and infrastructure are terrible. Now, more specifically, let me share what they were talking about. First off, some locals feel like our leadership in the Charlotte and surrounding areas could be better. And with a lack of oversight and a lack of strictness in our laws, that some people are getting off easy on just about everything. Now, the biggest portion of this that people were referring to is the DMV. Now, no one enjoys the DMV, and as one of the locals that I interviewed for this, I asked him, well, what about the DMV? And he said, it is baptism by fire. Now, I can attest to this. I actually had an expired license because I couldn't get an appointment. There were no appointments available, and it expired. And I went in and I was the first one there at 6 a.m. I was actually in line. I was still the 10th person in line, but I got there at 6 a.m. Waited for 45 minutes till they opened. Then I ended up being 5th in line for those without an appointment. And it took me 5 hours to get an update license. By the way, that was just the waiting time. To actually get the license was 5 minutes. So there are some things that need to be fixed. So fair warning, if you're moving to the area, get your appointment way ahead of time. They book 90 days out, and you gotta be online at midnight to book that appointment. So fair warning, that could definitely be better. Now, most people also said that they love the actual physical location, the geography of where Charlotte sits. Just 2 hours from the mountains, just 3.5 hours from 3 different beautiful beach areas, including Wilmington, Myrtle Beach, as well as Charleston, South Carolina. In addition, the Charlotte Douglas International Airport is about 20 to 30 minutes from pretty much everywhere in Charlotte. So it doesn't really matter where you live, you can get to the airport quickly and easily. Now, I know you guys may not know this, but Charlotte is located in what we call the Bible Belt. What does that mean? It means we have a lot of churches and a lot of Christian folk, and it is everywhere. Now, this isn't a positive or negative, it's just something that someone pointed out, and I started thinking about it, and it is true. You're gonna find a church on almost every corner. You've got everything from Baptists to Methodists, Catholics to Protestants, and those that are non-denominational. Everyone has something going on, and there's a fit for every denomination here in Charlotte. Now, mind you, aside from, of course, Christianity, we do have other faiths as well. We have Muslim, we have Jewish, we have a plethora of different faiths, but you are going to notice the churches more often than not. Now, part of that also comes back to the roots. The Carolinas and the South in general have always been those that were churchgoers. So with that, we do have a heavy population of Baptists and Methodists in the local area. Now, what does this mean for you? Well, there's a few things when being in the Bible Belt that maybe you want to be made aware of. One of them has to do with Sunday traffic. If you don't want any traffic, which, by the way, Sunday is kind of a lax day, so you probably won't hit any, but if you want to go somewhere or go out for brunch, Sunday is a perfect day to do it, but you want to go early, because once the church lets out around 10:30 or 11 o'clock, you are going to have a swarm of people trying to get to the same restaurant you want to. Another thing to be made aware of, because we're also in the Bible Belt, That means that our clubs are going to close down at 2 a.m. And on Sundays, there are very specific liquor laws. In fact, on Sunday, you cannot purchase any liquor that you can go into the store, get a bottle, and leave. You can't purchase any liquor, but you can purchase beer and wine. The whole buying beer after 12 o'clock noon on Sunday definitely used to throw us off when we used to take day trips to the beach because, well, we want to fill our cooler early in the morning, get there, and have a wonderful afternoon, and we ended up forgetting every single time. So no alcohol at all is sold before noon. Now, there have been some changes to this, and they call it the brunch law. That's right, there's a new law, which is called the brunch law. And what that means is if you are at an establishment, such as a restaurant, you can now purchase things such as Bloody Marys and mimosas, whatever you'd like to drink that's of alcohol in nature, starting at 10 a.m. instead of 12. So if that's something that you want to partake in, you should know that the Bible Belt does have an effect on some of those things. Now on to some other things that the South absolutely loves, and North Carolina, Charlotte, and South Carolina are no different. Sports and of course entertainment. Now growing up in the Northeast, I did not have a college team. Most people did not that we followed. Here in the South, you are going to be following college teams as well as NFL. You're going to be following college baseball as well as the MLB. They are intertwined and there's a season for all of them. Now for Charlotte, football and basketball as well as NASCAR are the biggest claims to fame, with the Charlotte Hornets in the NBA as well as the Carolina Panthers in the NFL. The fans of our basketball team, regardless of whether it was called the Bobcats, the Hornets, changes in colors, it doesn't matter. They are tried and true and will keep following along in wins and in losses. So this next one, there's no way to spin it. It's not positive. It is probably one of the biggest negatives of Charlotte, North Carolina, and the Carolinas in general. Pollen. I cannot amplify this enough or emphasize. Here's the thing. The pollen is bad, but there's a specific season when it's bad. It's called the pollening. I'm not even kidding. That's what we call it, the pollening. It's the time of year between late March into early to mid-April when the pine trees in our area start to spread their pollen. Now, unlike most other areas of the country where the pollen's out, but the only way you know that is because your nose gets stuffy and you start to sneeze, you can see it here. Like everything's yellow. The whole everything is yellow. If you have a white car, good luck. Yellow. You have a black car, good luck. Yellow. Your chair's outside, yellow. In fact, most people are not going to wash their outdoor sofa cushions or anything in general until late April when the pollen stops. Now, if you've never had any issues with pollen before, you may be fine. Or you could be like me, where I've never had issues with pollen no matter where I lived until I moved to the Carolinas. And honestly, during that 1 month period, I do get a little bit of a stuffy nose, but don't worry, it's not gonna kill you. It's not that bad, but we do have a lot of pines. Now, I will say, it's far worse in Raleigh. Raleigh, it looks like it's snowing yellow. We just get a sprinkle. So it's something that's worth taking into consideration. So one of the biggest things that I hear from almost everybody is the traffic. The traffic is so bad, the traffic. Now, I specifically did interview some people who moved here from other areas of the country, because if you've been living in Charlotte for 30 years, as this city has grown, as any city grows, traffic is going to increase as the population grows. So I wanted to hear some insight from those that are coming from other areas. I've always told you guys, compared to New York and Atlanta and LA and any of these other large cities, it's a piece of cake, right? So let's hear from the horse's mouth from some of the individuals who've made the move here. Most of the people that I had interviewed pretty much said that compared to other major cities, the traffic in Charlotte is pretty manageable. Now, many of them also emphasize that if you understand how to manage the traffic, meaning you know when those peak points are, and you choose to live in an area that shortens your commute time, that's also going to be extremely helpful. Now, this is something that I talk to a lot of my clients about when they're moving into town is, where are you going to be living? Let's go ahead and look at traffic, because I want to make sure if you've got a specific commute time that you're looking to stay within, that we help you do that. So it all depends upon what you're looking for in a property, but it also depends upon what you're looking for or where you're working. But not to worry, it's definitely not nearly as bad as many other areas of the country. Shout out to my New Yorkers. If anybody has ever been on the LIE, known as the longest parking lot in the world, this is an absolute piece of cake. This will be nothing. Most traffic in Charlotte, you're gonna have a slowdown for about 10 minutes or so, where it's not that you're stopped, you're just slow rolling, and then it opens back up again. Now, going along with traffic, why do we have traffic? Because we do have a good bit of people moving here. Charlotte is expected to double over the next 10 years. And with that comes rapid development. Now, some of the folks that I spoke to said it's rapid overdevelopment, but if we truly look at the overall plan of the city for the next 10, 15, and 20 years, it is right in line with what most major cities would do to make sure we're supporting the population growth of our growing area. Now, what you're going to find is there is a lot of construction going on in Charlotte, which for me, I see as a major positive because it shows that our economy is thriving. You've got cranes in the air, the economy is good. So with that, we do have a lot of commercial developments, a lot of residential developments being put in throughout the city. Now, where you're going to see most of this development for residential is going to be on the outskirts of 485, where there's more land available. So where you see a lot of mass clearing and things of that nature, a lot of that is happening not only because it's far more affordable to do larger clearing to put in developments, but what most people don't know is there's a lot of grading that goes on in order to make those developments make sense. Grading means moving dirt. That's right. Although you might have a big plot of farmland or a big plot of trees, the ground is very uneven. So those bulldozers, everything has to get in there, level it out, make sure there's the availability for pads, and make sure that the drainage in the development actually works. To the outsider's eye, it definitely looks terrible because you're going in and clearing out all that land. But honestly, unless you're sitting on a 1 acre or more lot where all you have to do is level out a short pad, this is something that is needed and necessary for the growth and expansion, especially of the residential market here in Charlotte. So while some people are pretty bummed out about the landscape of Charlotte changing, most other people are actually pretty excited about the growth and advancement of our city, which is going to lead to bigger and better things for those that are moving here, including better economy, better GDP, and more companies moving into the area, which increase the opportunity for jobs. Another big thing that people don't realize are a little bit of facts about the schools. Schools are a little bit different here than they are in some other regions of the country. Now, most people will look and say, oh, what school district are you in? And the actual district has a rating. Here, it's actually based on the school independently. So the schools that are in areas that usually have higher priced homes, more expensive properties, are also going to bring in more tax dollars, which a lot of that does go towards the schools. Now, on the flip-flop of that, the higher prices also play a role in the fact that more people want to live there because of the better schools, which drive the prices up because it becomes a more desirable location. When we're taking a look at home values and home prices versus the school ratings, it's not always one or the other. In fact, they coincide. The better the school, the more people want it, which pushes the price up, which then elevates the school. It's back and forth. It's a little bit of a seesaw there. Now, this also does not mean that the other schools in the Charlotte region are bad. But one of the biggest things that I always like to emphasize, if you're timing things for you and your family, perhaps your kids are not of school age yet, but they might be within the next 5 years. I recommend don't purchase a home based upon the current school district, as the zones actually move quite often. In fact, the school zones actually change every couple of years, and along with that, those schools are going to be regraded. So although a school might be a 6 out of 10 today, 5 years from now, there might actually be a reassignment of where you're living, or that school grade could have come up. There's a lot of things that can change in a couple of years. So if you are looking into the area, look at the school for what it is right now and make that decision based upon the current school ratings and the current school zoning, because it could pivot. Now, this one definitely has me as a New Yorker. Everybody always talks about the food scene, right? Can I give a shout out to my New Yorkers and all my Northerners? We love food, and we love eclectic food, whether it's Ethiopian or Italian, Chinese or Vietnamese. There's always a lot of selections. Well, I can tell you, when I first moved to Charlotte, it definitely did not have the kind of food scene that it does today. I am telling you, I cannot keep up with the number of German bistros or Italian restaurants, or honestly, I, for the first time, tried Ethiopian over in Optimus Hall. There are so many different restaurants that are coming into Charlotte, even just small little ones or food trucks, that it's extremely hard to keep up with. If you are a foodie, this is a foodie's dream. Now, shout out to those that are vegan or vegetarian. Among the top cities where you can find vegan food, Charlotte's one of them. There are so many opportunities for you to not only go out and eat, even in the grocery store, there's a lot that caters to vegan dietary options. Now, I promised to uncover for you a little known fact that really only the locals talk about. There is a top secret thing that you need to do that only Southerners know about. What is it? Well, when it snows, there's something specifically that you need to go pick up, and I mean immediately. What is it? Got to run to your local grocery store. If there's any sign of snow or even a warning of a potential snow or cold element, and you need to pick up milk and you need to pick up bread. Now, I say this kind of in jest, but truthfully, that is the thing that everybody runs to the store to get. Now, we barely drink milk in our house, although we do love a good sourdough, but that is something that Southerners will do, especially Charlotteans. If we get a warning of anything potential for snow or cold weather, we are not prepared. We will run to the store and get our milk and our bread, and we will hunker down and wait until it passes. Now, some of you from other states, especially maybe even Wisconsin or Minnesota, might be giggling at this, but I'm not talking about a blizzard. I'm talking about the potential for a little bit of ice or the potential for a 1/4 of an inch of snow. It will shut the city down. In fact, schools will close right before it even happens. There won't even be snow on the ground. Schools will close, businesses will close, they will not reopen until the following day, usually midday, when it's back up to about 55 degrees. So this is something you need to prepare yourself for, as even when we first moved here, I actually went to school because I didn't know school was called off because there was no snow. But apparently there was a snow element that could have happened. So, word for the wise, double check the news, double check your apps, and be prepared that the city will shut down when snow is on the horizon. So what do you think? Are you a local? I want to hear your comments below. What do you wish you knew about it? And what do you want to share with those that are coming into the area that you absolutely love about Charlotte? Now, if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button before moving on. And truthfully, if you are looking to move to the area, we have helped hundreds of people just like you. They've called, texted, emailed, sent me Zoom invites. I have all of my information in the description below so you can do the same. Whether you're moving here in 9 days or 90 days from across the world, across the country, or just across town, we're here to make your move exactly what you want it to be. So, until next time, I look forward to showing you around town. So you're making the move. There's a lot of videos that you can be watching, like this one right here, or maybe even this one. Really either one of these, but honestly, watch both of them because they're gonna help you make the move. Go ahead, pick one. They're both really good.